should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
We move on to Off the Top, and as expected, at least for one of them, it was somewhat a little bit of drama about the other one, but both USC's Sam Darnold and UCLA's Josh Rosen, the top two draft-eligible quarterbacks according to Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay, within minutes of each other yesterday, both declared they will be in the 2018 NFL Draft.
So, I mean, you wonder, because a lot of talk about Sam Darnold, maybe he should go back the way he played this year. But there's that thought process. If you're going to be a top 3 pick, say a top 5 pick, I mean, because they say go back and get seasoned and get better. But I guess the other thought process, you're going to be a top 5 pick, get on a team and learn the NFL process and learn the NFL game. Why would you go back unless you want to try and improve your stock from 4 to 1, from 3 to 1? Top 5 pick, it's almost tough to say. Listen, because a lot of people didn't think Michael Vick was ready to come out and go to the NFL as a redshirt sophomore, got his 3 years in. He's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. What are you going back for? I don't think there's any real reason to go back.
I'll get my seasoning while I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry about insurance policies and crap like that. Like, give me the real money. I'm sick of getting paid in IOUs by the NCAA.
Yeah. That's what it seems to be, because a lot of people do think another year for Darnold. And, you know, we've seen guys coming out early. Remember, Pete Carroll, what was it was it for Sanchez when he was kind of jumped him?
Yeah,
Pete Carroll
he said he needed to come back for another year.
Yeah, another year, and it usually doesn't work out well when you're coming out early like that. And while Sanchez's teams went to the AFC championship games, you know, he wasn't a big-time throwing quarterback when that was going on. And you could see it didn't work out all that well for Sanchez, so a lot of people thought Darnold should go back. But I guess, like I said before, if you're going to be one of the top picks, I don't really know why you would do it.
Well, that's sort of the interesting thing there is what Sanchez is doing now is mentoring Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago. And I don't know if you just saw that in the game that they played at home against Cleveland. I think it was Week 16. They had Sanchez wired for sound for some reason, or maybe it was Trubisky, and he was picking up the audio when Sanchez was talking to him. He was giving him a little pep talk on the sidelines and doing it in a perfect John Gruden impression. It was really, really good. But to that point, Trubisky came out early, and now he's being mentored by a guy who came out a year early. But I think what we're seeing here with Darnold and Rosen and Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield and maybe Mason Rudolph and maybe Lamar Jackson, all these quarterbacks in this year's draft, I think that's why Trubisky came out, because he was the first quarterback taken last year, second pick overall. I'm not sure he would have been a first-rounder had he come back and stayed for the 2017 season and played in the 28 and been a part of the 2018 draft, because he would have lost a lot of his weapons at North Carolina, and then the plethora of quarterbacks that you have ready in this year's draft. So he made a great business decision.
Yeah, he did, and it is that business decision that becomes more real when you get near the finish line. Like, these guys can look over the edge and finally see the life that can be theirs. It's a lot different when you talk about it during the season. I remember Will Fuller at Notre Dame during the year made that comment sort of, I think, offhand that, you know, he was going to come back. He wasn't worried about it, and then you get the draft grade after the season, and then you start talking to your agents and your family, and these things start to materialize in a way that makes it really hard for anyone on like a human level. If you were shown this could be your life, this could be all the money, this could be the way you could work, and you know what, if you've got some deficiencies, we can work them and coach them out there whilst you're getting paid. Pretty hard to ignore.
Now, guys have 11 more days to decide if they're going to enter the draft or not. January 4th, January 15th is that magical day of when they have to decide what they're going to do. So the two big names, we've got Saquon Barkley, you know, obviously, and these two big names, and going to be a whole lot of quarterbacks going on. And now comes the fun, because they will not put on pads again until training camp. Yet so much more will be said about them when they're practicing now and doing everything in shorts and a T-shirt.
Well, we got pro days coming up, and then you got the underwear Olympics, the combine, and all that kind of stuff. And that was indeed off the top. We'll get more into this now with these two quarterbacks. What do you feel about the January 15th deadline, by the way? It seems rather arbitrary.
Yeah. I know a lot. I don't think a lot of coaches like that a lot, especially they see that for players just like we're seeing now, that going to bowl games, you see that on the horizon of what they're kind of preparing for. So you have to decide then. I mean, I love what the NBA did. The NBA, you could declare, you can go through workouts, and then you can decide to come back. I mean, they give kids options. I mean, For the NFL, what you basically do is you put your name in, you submit your name, and then as a GMs, I don't know who really does the evaluation process.
Yeah.
Slotted for the first round, or maybe 1 through 3, or hey, you should go back to school.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe you're a mid-round, a mid-draft guy. So they kind of give you an idea, and then you just basically have to go off that. And if you sign to go January 15th, that's it. That's it. You're done. You can't come back. And coaches certainly need to know that for the recruiting trail of, okay, we lost this guy, we need to fill his spot. But for the player himself, that's what I said, I kind of like basketball now. They let you kind of go through the process a little bit and then come back if you really don't like what you see.
The sports are just impossible to compare in that regard. You could never do that with football.
You couldn't do it.
It wouldn't be possible. So it's great that the NBA allows it. But for football, we know as well as anyone, you've got to be all in on this process. It's turned to, you're measured by, I think, not as much being, how well you do in specific drills matters in a lot of positions, but it's how well prepared you appear coming off that. How well and how seriously do you take this process? And for Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen, where the physical drills aren't going to matter as much, it's how prepared are you for the interviews. For Josh Rosen, how prepared are you to answer a lot of the questions that anonymous sources are already popping off out there? Because I don't know if you guys have seen this. Anonymous sources are saying Josh Rosen is using football to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that about?
I mean,
isn't that why you play a professional sport?
And you
make money?
You play it. Theoretically, you like to think people enjoy it, but you know what? A nice big paycheck comes along with it, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
There's two parts to this equation. To your point.
You play to win the game.
Right.
But then you play professional sports to win the games and get money.
You get paid.
There's nothing wrong with that.
If you're good enough to do anything, you don't do it for free.
Yeah. It's exactly right. So now we have the two quarterbacks out, and here's going to be the thing, and it's something we don't know. It's something we don't know. This is going to be, I'll tell you, the book right now is where we are, and I know we have to forget the underwear Olympics, because if you're a guy...
By the way, that's the combine.
That's the
People don't know
combine.
what we're
I'm sorry,
talking about.
the combine.
We refer to it as the underwear Olympics.
I would like, I think there's a market for an actual underwear
Olympics. I would think so as well.
There's a market for everything.
As we talked about, pro day, combine, then all these individual workouts. If you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt, you don't throw the ball well, there's an issue. So that shouldn't be the issue. It's when you get to the whiteboard. It's when you're looking at film. It's how you break down that kind of has these people evaluating. But I'm going to tell you the breakdown, the overall breakdown of Rosen and Darnold right now. Rosen is better right now, but Darnold, the thought is he's better 10 years from now. Well, so that's the thought process. I always say you don't draft for next year, you draft for the next 10 years. So if you think Darnold has the higher ceiling, then that's probably where you're going to go instead of the flash if you get it early on.
Well, to that point, I mean, some people are wondering, hey, Sam Darnold played much better last year than he did this year. Obviously, some of that was because of the way he lost some of his weapons from a year ago.
Oh, and his old line. He only got sacked 6 times 2 years ago. I think he got sacked 21 times this year.
And obviously he didn't play his best game against Ohio State, and a lot of people are questioning why is he coming out now. Well, to your point of what you just said, Todd McShay says even with all the flaws in his game this season, if he had to choose between these two, he'd still take Darnold.
If I had to win a game tomorrow, I would take Josh Rosen. If I had to bet on the next 10 years, I would bet on Sam Darnold. When you look at Tom Brady, the Mannings, Aaron Rodgers, all the great ones, Drew Brees, he has a lot of those qualities that you look for in a quarterback. And while he's not as developed, and I do think he would benefit from playing another year at the college level at USC, I just think that if you're looking 10 years down the road, I would bet on him.
And that's the issue, right?
That's the tough thing to project. You could say that and you draft on that, but the shinier piece, quite honestly, is Rosen. I think Rosen's a better quarterback right now. I think Rosen's the best passer coming out in this draft. He's that shiny, as I said, the shiny-looking guy. But there are the questions coming out about him, and this is the onion, the layers of the onion that get peeled back, especially on a quarterback, gets crazy from now until April.
And for Josh, it's going to be double so because of already the things that have been stockpiled throughout his career. The interesting thing I heard Todd on Spain and Fitz last night saying that he had heard from enough people that he trusted to where he was comfortable speaking this out, but that there were questions we obviously know the ones about Josh's interest outside of football and how the myopic world of professional football doesn't really reward you having outside interest. But questions about how he treated his teammates and how he treated people inside the building. And to me, that's the part more worth exploring if you're these teams diving into that. And that's the stuff they will. They go around the building, they ask people, they do this in the interviews, so they're going to find out. And to me, that's much more important.
Well, look, this is, as we said, the beginning of this process, and there's going to be more about it, and there'll be more scrutiny over guys like Baker Mayfield. To some of your points about Josh Rosen, I don't care that he had a jacuzzi in his college room. I think that's tremendous, but some people, you're right, seem to have an issue with
Name me the last Big 12 quarterback that did anything in the NFL, and that you can say it's unfair or fair, but it's going to be fair until someone is. Right now, a lot of people think Pat Mahomes is going to be that guy.
Sam Bradford could technically be considered that guy.
He was the number one pick.
His has been injury. When he's been in there, he's been highly productive.
He did set the record last year for highest completion percentages, but it was a lot of checkdowns.
And he did that.
Drew Brees, by the way, topped that this year.
Yeah. Sorry, I was never sold on Sam Bradford. I just wasn't. But if you want to say he's a successful Big 12 quarterback, okay, I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few that have been around and haven't done it. So we'll see. Listen, I like Mason Rudolph. I like the way he throws the ball, but I got to see a Big 12 guy do it in the NFL because it's just different in the Big 12.
6'5", 230 pounds. I mean,
all these quarterbacks,
things you want.
These quarterbacks. Allen's the best-looking quarterback you're going to see, the kid from Wyoming.
He's the only one that's actually good-looking, too. The rest of them are all pretty ugly.
But unfortunately, he struggled at the quarterback position this year.
Thanks for that analysis, Junior. We're back in my
area.
You want to talk about bad experiences?
Yeah.
How about this story? Did you hear about this? Okay, you might have seen this video that came out a few years ago. It was shot somewhere in Canada, I think Toronto or Montreal, where this woman is with her 2 children in a park,
right?
And she's tending to one of the children, and then this eagle flies down out of nowhere and picks up one of her kids, a toddler, and tries to fly away with it before dropping the kid, and it went around and went viral. Now, that was a fake video, but that's what eagles do. That's what raptors do. They come down and pick up prey, and something like that, close to that, actually happened.
Yeah, it did. It happened unfortunately to a dog, Zoe, an 8-pound Bichon Frise, taken by a hungry raptor Tuesday afternoon, not 50 feet from his sister's house on the banks of the Lehigh River in Pennsylvania. How about that? That's a scene from The Proposal.
Yeah.
When Sandra Bullock's out with the dog, talking to the guy and running around with the dog, and the hawk comes down and picks up the dog, and she throws the phone at it. Luckily, the dog gets dropped. But how scary would that be? You're a dog lover. I'm a dog lover. You're out there with your dog, and you see a dog get picked up by a bird and carried away?
But here's the best part. The bird was holding onto the dog, flapping wings, and then it was gone. And then the owner of the dog said, "We cried all day." But then the dog was found.
Yep.
She and her husband scoured the woods and found Zoe. Little did they know their little bitty Bichon would be found later that afternoon, a full 4 miles away.
Yeah.
When somebody else was driving on a snow-covered back road, and she spotted a furry white lump ahead and pulled over, and it was this little frozen dog. So the dog somehow got released from the eagle and got back to the owner. So, again, people that were upset about this, there is a happy ending.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unreal. 4 miles. The dog had, like, icicles hanging from its fur, was freezing. I mean, that's unbelievable. So the dog is well.
Yeah.
You never think when you see a bird carrying away a dog,
this is going to end well for the dog.
It's not going to end well at all for the dog. I mean, I couldn't imagine, seeing that happen to one of my dogs.
Because you have pugs.
I have a Tahoe who's a lab who weighs like 60-something pounds.
Which would never happen.
Both the pugs are like 20 pounds, so I don't know if that would be too big. This is an 8-pound dog. Yeah. 20 pounds at the dog. I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I feel like this is the Monty Python and the Holy Grail. What's the airspeed velocity of a laden swallow? The question they ask. I just know
could the bird pick up, and a 20-pound pug? I have no idea. Because they're dense little suckers, these pugs.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
The amazing thing is they found the dog and they brought it back. But here's the best line. She talking about the dog Zoe. She's not really herself, but she's getting lots of love. But wait for it. She doesn't want to go out.
Really?
And I really can't blame her.
That just became an indoor lap dog.
That dog is a fireplace watch TV dog from now on going forward.
I am going to be in this chair. I don't need to go out. Find a place for me to go to the bathroom in the house, because I'm not even going outside to do that anymore, and you couldn't blame the dog.
Good for little Zoe. Who
wow.
Found her, and good for the person that found her. That's, again, of all the outcomes of that story, that's not the one I was expecting.
4 miles away after watching your dog get carried away.
That's watched The Incredible Journey to Sequel. Remember that movie with a
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Incredible Journey to Sequel with a raptor taking your pet. All right,
Talk
coming
about
up.
going back and getting more experience, but what was Mitch Trubisky, who started 13 games going back for and went number 2 in the draft? I mean, if you're going to go there, get paid and learn the NFL system, because the way you're playing quarterback in college is going to be a little different than the NFL, even though they're mirroring a little more to try and take advantage of what some of the college quarterbacks do well into the NFL. But it does seem like, Mike, for the start of the season, we were talking Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, Mason Rudolph, those 4 guys. Now Baker Mayfield has jumped in, Lamar Jackson. It seems to me like Rosen and Darnold, it is them, and then who's going to be next? Has Baker Mayfield jumped up to be the number 3 quarterback? Is he going to be, or is it going to be Allen or Rudolph or Lamar Jackson? It seems to me as we go forward that Rosen and Darnold have kind of separated from the rest of those, right?
Yeah, I'm interested in the Lamar Jackson factor. He's a junior.
Right. He hasn't declared yet. He has till, again, to January 15th, right?
And you mentioned part of the reason that Mitchell Trubisky came out last year was in theory to maybe avoid this quarterback class of guys. Lamar Jackson,
he might do that.
You could come back, add to what could go down with another year as one of the best college careers from a quarterback we've ever seen. He improved on almost every version of his game this season.
He did.
Come back for another year and dodge the bullet on a lot of these guys that the league seems enamored with right now. I'll be interested to see what his decision ends up being.
Especially because even, I think if he comes out, I don't think many are going to put him up with that class of guy, and the only thing he has now is shorts and a T-shirt, again, which they'll all look good in, so maybe it would behoove, because as I said, 1 through 3, why are you going back to college? If you're talking about end of first round or second round, well, with a bunch of quarterbacks as well, maybe it would behoove you to go back and be that guy for next year. So again, the date is January 15th that he has to decide if he wants to come out or not.
By the way, you just played the double behoove card.
I did. I went behoove twice.
You give me grief for saying things like penultimate or plethora or cornucopia, and you just dropped a double behoove.
Behoove.
Double behoove within like a minute.
That's how I roll.
That's very strong.
Thank you.